Thank you, Bill, once again for being here with us, for teaching us, and for your words and opening us in such a welcoming way. Today we are joined by the Honourable Gary Amanasangri, the Minister of Public Safety, to highlight funding to the community of New Westminster from the Government of Canada's Building Safer Communities Fund. You'll note that I am accompanied here by many colleagues, and we will start today's event by hearing brief remarks from Member of Parliament Jake Sawatsky, then from Minister Amanasangri, followed by myself, Dan's Legacy Board Director Gerbir Monder, and Isabel Atherton Herman, who is a youth graduate from the Dan's Diner program. And we will follow that with some questions and answers session from the media, if requested. Sorry about that. So I guess without further ado, I'll ask a Member of Parliament, Jake Sawatsky, to please join us and provide some remarks. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the community leaders, frontline workers, educators, and organizations joining us today. The work you do every day makes New Westminster stronger, safer, and more connected. It's quite meaningful to be doing this here in front of Dan's Legacy and Dan's Diner, an organization so close to my heart that provides support for youth affected by mental health and addiction. My first ever statement in the House of Commons as a Member of Parliament was about Dan's Legacy. And so it is a great pleasure to welcome the Honourable Gary Anandasangari, Minister of Public Safety, to our local community here at Dan's Legacy. I want to thank him for his partnership and his leadership on issues of community safety, something which is very important these days. Since being elected, one of my priorities has been to ensure that New Westminster has a strong voice in Ottawa and receives its fair share of federal investments. Minister Anandasangari has been working very hard on this and has been an incredible supporter and partner. I've been working with him and Public Safety Canada to bring resources and opportunities to our community. Today's announcement is an important example of that work. Through the Building Safer Communities Fund, our government is investing more than $1 million in New Westminster to help address the root causes of gun and gang violence and create more opportunities for young people. What makes this investment particularly meaningful is that it recognizes that the people closest to the challenges are often closest to the solutions, and local communities know their needs. Whether it's mentorship programs, outreach initiatives, employment supports, or services for at-risk youth, the people closest to the challenges are often the closest to the solution. The federal government has delivered the funding. The next step is for the city and community partners to determine how these resources can best support local needs and achieve the greatest impact. I'm proud to have worked alongside Minister Anandasangari to help bring this investment to New Westminster, and I'm grateful for his support. I look forward to seeing these federal dollars put to work for truly strengthening our community and creating positive opportunities for youth. With that, it is my pleasure to invite the Honourable Gary Anandasangari, Minister of Public Safety, to share today's announcement. Please give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much, MP Sawatsky, for the very warm welcome. Thank you, Mayor, for your work and your leadership. And it is such a pleasure for me to be here today. Let me at the outset just acknowledge the horrific incidents in the city of Toronto involving two bakeries, Kiwa's Bagel Bar, that were hit over the weekend, as well as what appears to be gunfire at the U.S. Consul General's office on University Avenue. These acts are horrific. They shake our values to the core. And I just want to assure all Canadians that law enforcement, Toronto Police Service, as well as the RCMP and other law enforcement agencies are working in collaboration to ensure the safety and security of all Canadians, but also to ensure that those who are responsible are held to account. with that, let me just come back to this very important announcement, and I want to acknowledge the work of MP Swaski over the last almost 18 months or 15 months or so. Jake is a tremendous addition to our caucus, someone who brings a fresh voice to the people that he represents right here in New Westminster, as well as the Lower Mainland. He has been an ardent advocate for mental health, for men's mental health in recent weeks, and I just want to thank him for his leadership and the work that you've been doing with us. So thank you, Jake. I also want to acknowledge Elder Nelson for your very wise words, and I'm very heartened to see that you're from Gitsa and Nishka nations that I've been able to work with over the years. Thank you for those incredible words. I've had a chance to speak to many of you here before. Izzy, thank you for the work that you do. I also want to acknowledge Gurbir for your leadership as a member of the RCMP, but also being on the board here, as well as Mayor Johnstone for your leadership once again. For everyone involved with Dan's legacy, this is truly a remarkable organization. I know that Barbara Coates, the executive director, I had a brief chat with earlier today, as well as others who are part of Dan's legacy. And I will say that over my lifetime, I've been fortunate to work with young people and fortunate to work in organizations such as this, where we support young people to maximize their truest and full potential. As a society, as a community, we owe it to the next generation to ensure that, notwithstanding what life may have brought them, the challenges that they may have faced, in some respects, what you mentioned, Elder, in terms of the difficulties that you would have faced, it is up to us as a society to offer that equalizing opportunity, that opportunity to ensure that every young person has the ability to succeed. And unfortunately, in Dan's case, we failed him. And what we are trying to do is ensure that his loss is not in vain, and that through him, through his name, we're able to do something deeply meaningful to the community, and particularly to young people. Canada remains one of the safest places in the world, and we saw that last week from StatsCan, that serious crime has declined for a second year in a row. That is really good news. But we also know that crime persists and must be fought with every tool we have. That is especially the case for gun and gang violence. Good policing is critical to dealing with guns and gangs, but it takes a lot more. We have to reach young people before they ever think about taking the wrong turn. And that means funding programs that are rooted in our communities, by our communities. That is exactly why I'm here today. I'm proud to announce a federal investment of up to $1.04 million to support gun and gang violence prevention right here in New Westminster. This investment is made possible through Public Safety Canada's Building Safer Communities Fund. The BSCF was created with a clear understanding. Local communities know their needs best. It gives money directly to municipalities and Indigenous communities to support locally designed prevention and intervention programs that address the root causes of gun and gang violence. You know, just before we were coming in, I don't know if Tom's still here. Yeah, there he is. Tom and the mayor were talking, and Mayor talked about all the things that Tom wanted to do, from food security to ensuring that young people are able to cook and also earn a living. And in many ways, Dan's place here has fulfilled that vision, and it is just the beginning. And we're so grateful as an organization, as Public Safety Canada, to play a very small role in this journey. With this investment, New Westminster will have the resources it needs to build, expand, and tailor grassroots programs that meet the specific challenges that are faced right here. The core objectives of this funding are simple, yet profound. Help children, youth, and young adults find opportunity to strengthen community connections and to ultimately make our communities safer. My work as a youth advocate, I've unfortunately buried too many young people way before it's their time. I've visited many jails, and in fact, I'll be visiting some later this week, where young people, because of the choices they made, have ended up in jail for way too long and sometimes cannot come back at any point in their adult life. I've seen how families have been ripped apart because of addictions. And all of this, in many ways, with the right supports, can be prevented. Cannot be eliminated, but certainly reduced. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here today. And I just feel I need to acknowledge all those. I think there's over 35, 36 staff that are here that do this work every day, but also the volunteers that continuously make this program so vital and so successful. By funding mentorship programs, outreach, employment readiness, and skills training opportunities, we're constructing a social safety net that ensures that no young person slips through the cracks. This type of investment is key to tackling the root causes of crime, and it will support New Westminster in your fight to end gun and gang violence. By investing in our youth today, we're choosing hope, opportunity, and a better, safer tomorrow. Governments can provide the funding, but it is your passion, your hard work, and your daily commitment that will change the lives forever. Thank you, New Westminster, for your partnership, your leadership, and your resolve to build a safer, brighter future for the next generation. And thank you, MP Swatsky. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everyone who have been very much part of this organization. We look forward to the many successes that are about to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister, for those words and for the commitment that you're continuing to make in building safer communities here in New Westminster. Today, the historic city of New Westminster is on the rise, actually. We are welcoming new residents, we are building new homes, and we are becoming one of Canada's most vibrant and livable communities. But as our city grows, as New Westminster grows, our compassion will grow with it. We know the strength of a city is not measured by the buildings we construct or the investments we attract. It's measured by how we care for one another, especially the youth in our community and those who need a little extra support to thrive, to stay on a positive path. Over the past 4 years, the Government of Canada's Building Safer Communities Fund has given New Westminster an extraordinary opportunity to invest in prevention instead of crisis. Much gratitude to the previous Minister of Public Safety for seeing originally the value of New Westminster's evidence-based and compassionate approach to youth, and to the current Minister for carrying forward this faith in community in the form of an additional 3 years of funding. This investment allows us to continue bringing together community organizations, educators, healthcare professionals, social service agencies, law enforcement, and all levels of government around one shared goal: ensuring that young people receive the support they need, the connections they need in community before they reach a point of crisis. The city's role has been to connect partners, to steward the investment, and to strengthen that collaboration. We know that no one single organization can solve these complex challenges alone, but together we can build something far greater than any one of us could achieve individually. And together, we have created a coordinated network of care that is changing lives. We launched the Youth Situation Table, which is bringing together dozens of professionals from nearly 30 organizations to identify youth who are facing elevated risk and to respond quickly and collaboratively and compassionately to that risk. We developed New Westminster's youth resiliency strategy by listening directly to young people, because we know the best solutions are built by including youth in building it, not simply doing it for them, but doing it with them. And with our valued partner, the Lower Mainland Purpose Society, we helped establish the Youth Hub, where over 350 young people each year find connection, guidance, and a place where they know that they belong. We worked with Game Ready and with Her Time and other key service providers to provide skill development and support youth and parents. And through outstanding community partners like Dan's Legacy Foundation, young people are receiving trauma-informed counseling, employment opportunities, life skills, and practical supports that help them build brighter futures. In 2025 alone, Dan's Legacy supported more than 1,280 youth through over 10,000 service interactions, addressing everything from mental health and food security to employment readiness and career pathways. At the same time, they helped hundreds of families by providing thousands of grocery hampers, demonstrating how innovation, compassion, and sustainability all work hand in hand. But the true measure of success isn't the numbers, it's found in the young person who discovers confidence they didn't know they had, the student who reconnects with school, the young person who chooses opportunity instead of violence, the family that finds stability during one of the most difficult chapters of their lives. Those are the stories that matter. And this is where prevention changes lives. The Building Safer Communities Fund has supported this incredible legacy of success, a legacy of successful youth. And that is a legacy that will endure. So we are grateful, again, for the opportunity to continue working with our federal partners and our local partners over the next 3 years as we build on this important foundation. In New Westminster, we are building together, and this is the future we're building together for the youth. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for the announcement. It's now my pleasure to invite Board Director Gopi Nijjar from Dan's Legacy to deliver their remarks. Gopi is a senior RCMP leader with extensive experience in youth engagement, community policing, organizational leadership, and trauma-informed public safety. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Johnstone, for your kind introduction. Minister Anand Gagstri, Worship Johnstone, and local MP, welcome. And our guests, community partners, colleagues, and friends. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gopi Nijjar. I serve as an inspector and officer in charge of support services with our BC Training PRTC, the Pacific Region Training Center. I'm also honored to serve as a member of the board of directors of Dan's Legacy. My former RCMP colleague and friend, Senator Baltaj Singh Dhillon, introduced me to this exceptional organization. After volunteering with Dan's Legacy for several years, including serving as the vice president. I grew up in Lower Mainland, and throughout my 25 years of service with the RCMP, I have spent my last 25 years serving our local community. I have seen firsthand some of the challenges facing young people in our community, including their vulnerability to gang recruitment, gun violence, and other high-risk lifestyles. There is rarely one single reason why a young person becomes involved in a gang. Childhood trauma, difficult family circumstances, low self-esteem, lack of positive role models, and need for belonging and acceptance can all increase a young person's vulnerability. That is why prevention must be about more than simply telling young people, what not to do. We must give them something positive to move towards. Stability, opportunity, meaningful relationships, practical skills, and genuine sense of purpose. Dan's Diner social enterprise program is designed to provide exactly that kind of support. It helps young people address the effects of trauma while developing employable skills, confidence, a sense of belonging, and hope for the future. As a staff sergeant responsible for youth services and youth mental health with the Richmond RCMP, I worked closely with our community partners to support vulnerable and high-risk youth, including young people experiencing significant trauma, mental health challenges. That experience taught me that no single organization or intervention can address these complex circumstances. Dan's Legacy provides a trauma-informed wraparound approach. Young people receive access to mental health counseling, nutritious food, employment preparation, positive peer connection, and meaningful engagement with their community. The participants can connect with Dan's Legacy's team of therapists and benefit from additional support, including weekly grocery hampers, fitness, and community recreation programs. This is where funding from Public Safety Canada, administered through the City of New Westminster, makes a significant difference. It allows Dan's Legacy and other community organizations to intervene early, build trusted relationships, and provide young people with opportunities that might otherwise remain beyond their approach. The results are reflected in paths taken by our program graduates. Some have gone on to work in the culinary industry. Others have entered universities or college camp programs. Some have chosen totally different careers. In a few moments, you will hear from one of the program's graduates who has a remarkable and inspiring story to share. There's also a broader leadership lesson in this work. As leaders, we must remember that we may not always know what our employees, team members, colleagues, and community members have experienced before they arrive in front of us. Effective leadership requires compassion, empathy, balanced with clear expectations and accountability. My RCMP career has given me opportunity to participate in both enforcement and prevention initiatives. Enforcement remains necessary, but prevention gives us an opportunity to intervene before a young person enters the criminal justice system or becomes trapped in a high-risk lifestyle. On behalf of Dan's Legacy, I extend our sincere appreciation to Public Safety Canada and the Minister for Government of Canada's continuing commitment to supporting crime and harm prevention programming across the country, including here in New Westminster. To Mayor Johnstone and City of New Westminster, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your continued support. Finally, I invite everyone to connect with the young people and team behind this program and enjoy the menu samples that we have prepared for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurbir. I now invite Isabel Atherton Herman, who is a graduate of the program at Dan's Legacy, who has opened her own bakery and is now also working as an on-call cook here at the diner to deliver remarks and talk about her experience.
Good morning, everyone. If you had met me before I found Dan's Legacy, I don't think you would recognize the person standing here today. At the time, my life felt like it had stopped moving. I was struggling with major depression, severe anxiety, constant stress, and difficult circumstances at home. I spent most of my days isolated in my bedroom, convinced nothing was ever going to change. I couldn't find work despite countless job applications. I was living with constant uncertainty about my future and whether I'd have a stable place to call home. I had lost hope and I couldn't picture a future for myself. One day, while sitting in my doctor's office, I had noticed a pamphlet for Dan's legacy. I had spent years in therapy, and I honestly didn't think another program would have made a difference. But something told me to reach out. Looking back, that was one of the most important decisions I've ever made. Dan's legacy became much more than therapy. It became a place where I started rebuilding my life. I joined the kitchen program, and although my social anxiety made every new experience feel overwhelming, the chefs and staffs welcomed me with patience, kindness, and encouragement. They taught me practical culinary skills, but more importantly, they helped me believe I was capable of more than I thought. Later, I moved into Dan's Diner, where I had stepped even further outside of my comfort zone. I learned front of house service, worked catering events, and even at the annual gala. I gained confidence working as part of a professional culinary team. As I grew, I was offered a paid position and had the opportunity to continue working with Dan's legacy professionally. What made the biggest difference wasn't just the experience, it was the people. They celebrated every success and encouraged me through every setback, and believed in me long before I believed in myself. They supported me in starting my own baking business, encouraged me to pursue culinary arts at VCC, and reminded me that I had a future. Today, I wake up excited about where my life is headed. My goal is to complete culinary school, continue into pastry arts, and one day open a bakery of my own. I learned I had a future because people at Dan's Legacy saw it before I did. Dan's Legacy didn't just help me find employment, it helped me find a purpose. It gave me hope, confidence, and a community where I had finally felt seen, heard, and valued. To everyone at Dan's Legacy, past and present, thank you for believing in me before I was able to believe in myself. I will carry that with me for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. I have nothing to say after that. Thank you for demonstrating to us the value of working together and of all the governments working together and all the organizations working together to make change in people's lives. Thank you. Right now, we will move on to media availability if folks have any questions. So I will ask Sabrina Sutherland to come over, and there she is. Sabrina's in the back there with the microphone. If anyone in the media has questions, please I pass it over to Sabrina.
Perfect. Thank you to all speakers as well as to our guests and partners for joining us today. We'll now open the floor to questions from the media. Nous passons maintenant à la période de questions avec les médias. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate, we ask that you limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. So we'll proceed to our next question.
My question is to the Minister. Hello, Minister. I'm Prateek Singh Mahal from Red FM. Recently, U.S. indictments had named Lawrence Bishnoi that he ordered the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar on the Canadian soil. So I just want, my question is that then following this, has Canadian authorities, RCMP, and made any official request to India to seek his extradition, or you are planning to name him in these incidents?
Let me just say that the work of the RCMP and FBI in the indictments that came forward in California are critically important, and I want to thank the collaboration and the work that they have done. There's two things going on. First, there's currently charges that are pending that are going through the legal system in Canada relating to individuals who are believed to be, who are accused of the murder of Mr. Nijjar. At the same time, the U.S., under its laws called RICO, have indicted a number of individuals, including Mr. Lawrence Bishnoi. There are parallel processes, and they will continue. The U.S. is seeking extradition of those individuals to Canada, and Canadian law enforcement is in full cooperation with our U.S. counterparts.
Well, the question is that at any point the Canadian authorities have contacted the Indian authorities. They are cooperating on this issue, sharing any information, because recently there was talks with the India that there's going to be shared information platform. What is the status of that?
there's always ongoing conversations relating to the death of the murder of Mr. Nijjar. What I will say is, with respect to law enforcement, there's been constant engagement with Indian law enforcement as well as U.S. law enforcement. That engagement will continue. It is important that, while I think this case goes through the legal system in Canada, the ongoing challenges that we've had vis-a-vis India will be dealt with by our law enforcement agencies through dialogue and through resolution, with the clear view that any intrusion of foreign actors in Canada is not something that Canada will at any point accept or tolerate.
Jordan from CTV. Minister, NATO interns are usually vetted by member countries. What does it say about CSIS and RCMP vetting processes now that a Canadian has been accused on spying on NATO?
What I don't want to do is speculate on this specific case. I do acknowledge that there was a recent arrest in Belgium involving an intern with NATO who is a Canadian national. As a country, we will continue to investigate the processes we have and the security screening. It is an ongoing work that we do, and in this particular case, I think it's important to get to the bottom of what happened, and that is a commitment that we make to you today.
Confident that the alleged spy has not worked for another Canadian government department and has not passed on information to a hostile foreign government?
What I will say is that the allegations that have been made are quite serious. Canadian law enforcement and Canadian authorities are continuously monitoring and will monitor the impact of the work this individual has done, if they have done any work in Canada. But ultimately, we need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to ensure that these types of incidents do not occur in the future.